In recent years, social media has become far more than a tool for communication or entertainment. It has evolved into a powerful environment where ideas are shaped, emotions are amplified, and opinions are formed, often without users fully realizing how this process happens. At the center of this environment lies an invisible force: algorithms. These complex systems decide what we see, what we ignore, and what repeatedly demands our attention. This raises an uncomfortable but necessary question. Do social media algorithms control the way we think, or do they simply reflect who we already are? At first glance, it may seem exaggerated to claim that algorithms control our thoughts. After all, people still choose what to like, share, or comment on. We can follow or unfollow accounts freely, and no one forces us to agree with what appears on our screens. However, this argument assumes that influence must be obvious to be powerful. In reality, the most effective forms of control are often subtle. Algorithms do not tell us what to believe directly. Instead, they shape the environment in which our beliefs are formed. Over time, this environment can quietly narrow our perspective while giving us the illusion of choice. Social media algorithms are designed with one primary goal: to keep users engaged for as long as possible. Engagement means clicks, likes, comments, shares, and time spent scrolling. The longer we stay, the more data platforms collect, and the more advertising revenue they generate. To achieve this, algorithms learn from our behavior at an astonishing speed. Every pause, every replayed video, every post we linger on becomes a signal. Gradually, the system builds a detailed profile of our preferences, fears, interests, and emotional triggers. What we see next is not random. It is carefully selected to maximize our attention. This process has profound consequences for the way we think. When people are repeatedly exposed to similar viewpoints, they begin to feel familiar and therefore reasonable. Ideas that appear often start to feel normal, while those that rarely appear seem strange or extreme. Over time, this repetition can influence not only what we think about, but how we think about it. If certain topics dominate our feeds, they begin to feel more important than others, regardless of their real significance in the world outside the screen. One of the most discussed effects of algorithmic curation is the creation of so-called echo chambers. In an echo chamber, users are primarily exposed to opinions that match their existing beliefs. This happens because algorithms interpret agreement as satisfaction. When we like content that supports our views, the system learns to show us more of the same. Content that challenges us may appear less often, not because it is false or harmful, but because it is less likely to keep us engaged. As a result, our worldview becomes increasingly one-sided, reinforced by constant confirmation. The danger of echo chambers lies not only in misinformation, but in intellectual stagnation. When people rarely encounter opposing ideas, their ability to think critically weakens. Arguments feel obvious rather than debatable, and disagreement feels personal rather than intellectual. In such an environment, thinking becomes reactive instead of reflective. People respond emotionally to content rather than questioning its source, intention, or accuracy. Over time, this can lead to polarized societies in which individuals struggle to understand perspectives outside their own digital bubble. However, it would be overly simplistic to place all responsibility on algorithms alone. Human psychology plays a crucial role in this dynamic. People are naturally drawn to content that confirms their identity and values. We enjoy feeling understood and validated, especially in a fast-moving digital world where attention is limited. Algorithms exploit this tendency, but they did not create it. In this sense, social media does not entirely control our thinking. It accelerates and amplifies patterns that already exist within us. Yet acceleration itself can be a form of control. When exposure happens at such a scale and speed, individuals have little time to pause and reflect. Information arrives in fragments, short videos, headlines, images, often stripped of context. This constant stream encourages quick judgments rather than deep analysis. Instead of asking whether an idea is true, we ask whether it feels right. Instead of examining complexity, we seek clarity, even when reality is ambiguous. Over time, this habit reshapes our thinking style, favoring emotional certainty over thoughtful doubt. Another subtle way algorithms influence thinking is through emotional manipulation. Content that provokes strong emotions, anger, fear, excitement, outrage, tends to perform better than calm, balanced analysis. Algorithms detect this pattern and promote emotionally charged material more frequently. As a result, users may begin to perceive the world as more hostile, dramatic, or divided than it truly is. When emotional intensity becomes the norm, moderate voices struggle to compete, and nuanced discussions are pushed to the margins. This emotional environment has consequences beyond individual thinking. It affects how people relate to one another. When online spaces reward extreme expression, users may feel pressured to adopt stronger positions to be heard. Over time, this can blur the line between genuine belief and performative outrage. People may begin to think in slogans rather than arguments, reducing complex social issues to simplified narratives that fit neatly into a post or a video clip. In this way, algorithms indirectly influence not only what we think, but how we express our thoughts. Despite these concerns, it is important to acknowledge that algorithms are not inherently malicious. They are tools created by humans, shaped by economic incentives and design choices. The same systems that trap users in echo chambers can also introduce them to new ideas, cultures, and communities. Educational content, social movements, and marginalized voices have all benefited from algorithmic visibility. The question, therefore, is not whether algorithms control us completely, but whether we understand their influence well enough to resist it. Awareness is the first step toward autonomy. When users recognize that their feeds are curated, not neutral, they can begin to approach content more critically. This means questioning why a particular post appears, what emotions it triggers, and what perspectives might be missing. Small actions, such as following diverse accounts, pausing before reacting, or seeking information outside social media, can gradually weaken algorithmic dominance. While these steps may seem insignificant, they reintroduce choice into a system designed to automate attention. Ultimately, the relationship between social media algorithms and human thought is not one of total control, but of constant negotiation. Algorithms shape the environment, but individuals still possess the capacity for reflection, curiosity, and resistance. The danger arises when people forget this capacity and surrender their attention without question. In a world where information is endless and time is limited, thinking itself becomes an act of intention. So, Do social media algorithms control the way we think? They certainly influence it, sometimes deeply, sometimes invisibly. They guide our attention, reinforce our preferences, and reward emotional reactions over careful reasoning. But control is not absolute. The final responsibility lies with us, to slow down, to question what we consume, and to remember that thinking is not something that happens to us, but something we actively do. In reclaiming that awareness, we take the first step toward thinking freely in a digital world designed to think for us.